I've been hit, pushed, scratched and kicked on a daily basis. The words of a teacher from Aberdeen considering leaving the profession as violent incidents involving pupils in schools increase. Unions say the safety of staff is at risk and more action is needed to tackle the growing problem in both primaries and secondaries. It comes as figures obtained by STV News reveal a surge in both physical and verbal attacks. Brian Agriachan has more.
I have quite a lot of nightmares about specific incidents and about, just being back at work and being frightened.
For teachers like Laura, this is the everyday reality in some schools in Scotland. With violence against staff on the rise, many are considering leaving the profession altogether.
Being hit, pushed, head-butted, scratched, bitten, on a daily basis, kicked. I'm covered in bruises most term time. I have to say I'm looking at other careers, which is heartbreaking.
New figures obtained by STV News show the majority of local authorities in the north of Scotland have seen a surge of violent attacks from pupils towards staff in the last 3 years. This includes both physical and verbal attacks. Of the 10 local authorities contacted, 8 responded. The majority saw an increase in physical and verbal attacks. The highest number of incidents was in Aberdeen at more than 1,200. That was a 70% increase over the course of 3 years. In Murray, there was more than 1,000 in the last academic year. Although that was down from the previous year, it's still an overall increase of more than 170% since 2022. Now, attacks in schools in Shetland rose by almost 80% between 2022 to 2024, from 70 to 125. However, in Angus, there was no increase in the past 2 years, with 372 incidents each year between 2023 and 2025. Unions said the findings are alarming and warn teachers' safety is at risk.
If you look regrettably at that incident up in Elgin last year, where the bus driver was stabbed by a teenager, that could easily happen in a school. There needs to be something there so that pupils themselves see, right, I'm not going to get away with that. I'm not going to be allowed to indulge in unacceptable behaviour. I'm not going to be allowed to be violent.
Kim has worked in the profession for almost a decade, but she says at her current school in Aberdeen, some classes are just about surviving.
You're constantly on alert, you're constantly looking out for the next attack because you know it's going to come. It's not, we're not overstating it when we're saying this is every single day we're going in and we're being verbally and physically abused, and no one cares.
She blames a rise in misogyny for some of the behaviour and a lack of consequences.
2 boys marched into my classroom and basically squared up to me, told them to get out of the classroom. When they did, I closed my door and they then proceeded to try and kick my door down. We've had instances where there's been fireworks fired at teachers inside the school building.
The Scottish Government introduced guidance to tackle rising levels of violence and aggression earlier this year.
We've also, in the budget, as I spoke to, managed to provide local authorities with an additional £186.5 million to restore teacher numbers, alongside that £29 million I spoke to in terms of the ASN workforce, which is hugely important to my mind. You have to get staffing right if you're going to meet the challenges in our schools. So having a properly resourced school and a properly resourced classrooms is fundamental to tackling these challenges, particularly post-pandemic.
But unions say there's much more work to be done.
To make sure that there's resources in terms of teachers, that we're still employing teachers, that the 1.5 hours non-class contact time isn't reduced for all teachers, which would mean employing more teachers, that there's ASN specialist teachers provision, that there are trained PSAs in place as well.
As the new academic year gets underway, teachers like Kim say they're filled with anxiety. For them, they're hoping to go to work and feel safe, but say that's the furthest thing from reality at the moment. Gráinne Ní Gaothain, STV News.